Okay, so this is the key to worksheet 2.5 part 2. In this worksheet, you're focusing on the absolute value function. Okay, so again, you want to graph this absolute value function. Notice there's a horizontal translation and then a vertical translation. And remember, you want to do the parent function first. So the parent function is going to be the absolute value function, which is absolute value of x. All right, and then you're going to take this absolute value function. Remember, the absolute value function, the graph looks like this. So this is the graph right here. So it looks like this right here. So that's the absolute value function. So you're going to take that absolute value function, this parent function, and you're going to do all kinds of transformations to it. You, at some point, could do if you have this, then you could do a reflection about the x-axis as well. Okay? All right, so you can take this parent function and you can perform these two transformations on it, but you got to list those transformations and make sure it's mathematically correct. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the absolute value of x, and you always do the vertical translation last. So do the horizontal translation first. So take the absolute value of x and translate it, or shift it. We'll use the word shift. So shift horizontally to the, now remember the horizontal is where it's a little confusing. So don't say 3 to the left, because this is negative right here. So remember, it's got to be x minus this number, and that number is going to be your translation. So this was x plus 3. You got to think x minus a negative 3. So negative 3 units to the left. Since this is x minus already, that's a positive 3. So x subtract a positive 3. And so we're going to go 3 units to the right. So shift to the right 3 units. The vertical translation is the easiest to think of. So is the easiest part. So this is, you're going to take 5 and you're going to take that graph here and you're going to shift it vertically down 5 units. So you're taking, because what you're doing is notice the first transformation, I took my parent function and I shifted to the right 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So that's where I'm at. All right. So then what I got to do now is I got to take all these points right here, and I've got to, from the y coordinate, I've got to subtract 5. So what's happening from the y coordinate when I subtract 5, the graph moves down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that would be the new graph. This right here would be the new graph. Okay? All right, so let's see what we get. Okay, so always have, if you can, with this section to help you as an aid, just have some transparencies, cut out transparencies, and kind of move these things around to help you. All right, so then what we're going to do next is we're going to take that graph. Now remember, when I say the next part, the next transformation, we're taking this, when I move this 3 units to the right, we're taking this right here, and we're going to shift it down 5 units, okay? So we're going to say take that graph, and shift vertically. Make sure you use the word vertical. So vertically down 5 units. Now make sure you use the word units. All right. So at the end, this is what you're thinking about. All right. So I take my parent function, the absolute value of x, right here, and then I go 1, 2, 3, and then I go down 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this should be the final graph. Okay? All right. So this is how you're going to do this, though. You're going to do this. You're going to do the parent function first. Now remember, we're doing absolute value of x. Remember what points we use for the absolute value of x. So always use those points that we're mentioning here. So remember, this is absolute value of x. So if the parent function. So if x is 0, the absolute value of 0 is 0. If x is 1, the absolute value of 1 is 1. If x is negative 1, the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. If x is 2, the absolute value of 2 is 2. If x is negative 2, the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. All right, and so when I plot those points, we get 0, 0, 1, 1, negative 1, 1, 2, 2, negative 2, 2. And so that parent function here looks like this. All right, so remember it's that shape of that V. It's not a parabola, so don't draw a parabola. It's that shape of V. So there's f of x right here. Okay? All right, now to draw the other one. Now notice how we're going to do this. You got to listen to this very carefully as we go through this. So basically what you can, to do the idea with transformations, you're taking points. You can take all these points and you can do these transformations on it. Okay? So I'm going to take the vertex first, just right here. And the first thing I got to do is I got to shift it horizontal to the right 3 units, and then once I do that, I've got to shift it vertically down 5 units. Okay? So here's what you do. 1, 2, 3, to the right 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's my, there's a vertex of g of x. Then I take this point, 1, 2, 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I take this point here, 1, 2, 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I take this point, go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that part, well, let's finish this one. So then I go 3 units to the right here. 1, 2, 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so this is what this looks like. So the green graph is g of x. Okay, so let's see if it's correct. So let's think about our transparency. So I take this and I move it 3 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so there's the graph. Okay. All right, number 2. So again, we're still talking about absolute value functions. We're still dealing with absolute value. All right, now this time there are 3 transformations on this. So notice there's a reflection about the x-axis, there's a horizontal translation, and then there's a vertical translation. Okay. All right. So again, the parent function will be the absolute value function, absolute value of x. So you must have that there. Now remember, there are going to be 3 things we're going to do. So basically, again, think about this. So if you do the reflection first, so this is my parent function. This is a parent function. When you do the reflection first, you're going to be doing this. So it reflects about the x-axis. And then you do the horizontal transformation next. So this says I'm going to take what I just did, this reflection, and then move it 3 units to the left. 3 units to the left. So 1, 2, 3. And then this says I'm going to shift it vertically up 4 units. So then I get 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be the final graph. That's what the final graph should look like. Okay? All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the absolute value of x, and you're going to, let's do the reflection first, and then reflect about the x-axis. You must always do, when there's a reflection, you have to do the vertical translation last. Otherwise, you're really graphing that different function. All right, then you're going to take that graph, the graph that you just reflected. So in other words, this graph here. So when I say take that graph, I mean this graph here. That's what I mean. So then you can take that graph and shift horizontally to the left 3 units. Okay? And then, so basically, you've done this now. So this is what you've done. You've done this. So you reflect it, then shift to the left 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So that's where you're at. Now you can take this graph. This is what you just did now. You can take that second transformation, whatever this graph, that's what it looks like. And then you're going to move it up 4 units. You're going to shift it vertically up 4 units. Okay? So then take that graph. When I say that graph, I mean the graph from part 2 now. Take that graph and shift vertically up 4 units. Okay, since it's positive, you can go up 4 units. So basically what's happening is this. So when you went to the left 3 units, you're right here. When you went to the left 3 units in part 2, part 3 says you're going to add 4 now. So basically, you're adding 4 to each of those y coordinates. That's what you're doing. So like, see this y coordinate right here is 0, 0. 0 plus 4 is 4. This y coordinate is -1. -1 plus 4 is 3. So watch what happens. We're going to move it up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see this y coordinate is 3. Okay. So basically, you're just, the vertical translation is you're just adding 4 to all these y coordinates, the points of all these y coordinates. All right, and then let's go ahead and do the parent function and then the g of x function. Okay, so the parent function, remember this is x, absolute value of x, so I'm going to say 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. -1, 1, -2, 2. And so it looks like this. Okay, all right. Now, let's do the transformations on that. So remember, this is f of x. I'll call this f of x. Okay, so I'm going to take each of those 5 points. I'm going to perform all these things on it. All right, so here we go. So the first one says I take the absolute value of x. So I'm going to take the vertex first. So I'm going to reflect it about the x-axis. So notice the vertex, this point, is already on the x-axis. So when I reflect it on the x-axis, about the x-axis, it stays there. So then the next thing I have to do is move it, shift it horizontal to the left 3 units. Okay, so watch what's happening now. Watch what's happening. 1, 2, 3. So this is where I'm at. So I'm at this point right here. Then it says I'm going to shift that vertically up 4 units. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be the vertex of g of x. Okay. All right. So then I take this point here. Do all 5 now. Reflect it about the x-axis. When I reflect it about the x-axis, now you see how this is 1 unit above the x-axis? I go 1 unit below, so I'm right here now. So when I reflect about the x-axis, I get this. Then I'm going to shift it to the left 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go up 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I get this point here. Okay? And for the absolute value, always make sure, you can tell if you do it correctly, that these points have to lie on that same ray. Okay, see this? Okay. So then I take this point here, and then I reflect it about the x-axis. So I'll do the first one first, reflect about the x-axis. See this point? It's 1 unit above the x-axis, right? So I go 1 unit below, so I'm here. So when I reflect it about the x-axis, I get this point here. But then I got to move it, shift it horizontal to the left 3 units. So 1, 2, 3, and then up 4 units, vertically up 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Notice these should lie in the same ray. So now I got 2 more points to deal with now. So I go here. See how this is 2 units above? So when I reflect, I go 2 units below. So I go 1, 2. So that's where I'm at. So when I reflect this point right here about the x-axis, I get this point here. And make sure you can visually see this. So let me just kind of show you. Suppose we have this right here. Let me do this point. All right, this point here. Okay? So when I reflected about the x-axis, see this is the x-axis here. All right, so when I reflect about the x-axis is still the x-axis right here. So you get this point here. Okay? All right, so let's think about that. You use transparency to help you. Okay, so all right, so I reflect about the x-axis to get this point. All right, right here, and then I go to the left 3 units, shifted horizontal to the left 3 units. 1, 2, 3, and then I've shifted vertically up 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I do this one here. So I go to the, I reflected about the x-axis. So 1, 2 units above, 2 units below. Then I go to the left 3 units. 1, 2, 3, and then vertically up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this is your graph of g of x. All right, so this is g of x. Okay, so this is f of x and this is g of x. And always check. Let's see if it's true. So here was my parent function. I reflected about the x-axis, so I get this right here. I shouldn't use the same transparency that one, but this is what I get. Then I went to the left 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and then I shift it vertically up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so notice I get that green graph. Okay? All right, so that takes care of worksheet 2.5, part